I am delighted to introduce another optimist, Poppie Jamie, a serial entrepreneur and TV host. She is one of Forbes 30 Under 30 this year. She's founder of the mental well-being startup Happy Not Perfect, and co-founder of the accessories line Pop and Suki. She also recently joined the UCLA Resnick Neuropsychiatric Hospital Board of Advisors, and we're so happy to have her. Poppie is dedicated to creating accessible tools to help reduce the stress and anxiety levels of young people. And I think that's something that we can all get behind. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to say, welcome, Poppie.
Hi, everyone. As you can tell, I'm a real millennial. I have my notes on my laptop. It's a real honor to be here and share the stage with so many inspirational women. It's an incredible privilege for me. UCLA has been so supportive in my project, Happy Not Perfect, so it's a joy to be talking to you about it. And you'll be the first ones to take a look at the app that is launching in 8 days' time. I kind of feel like I'm pregnant, and it's like my delivery date. So it's a real moment, and it's a real honor to be here. So how am I here? It's a really good question, because you can probably tell I'm from England, born and bred, and at the age of 6, I wanted to be a TV presenter, and you call them TV hosts here. And my parents said, how are you going to do that? And I said, I don't know, but I'm going to do it. So 12 years later, I managed to land my first job as a TV reporter. And it turned out I was the worst one they'd ever hired. Yeah, I basically was like the Bridget Jones of England. Everything went wrong. And, that's one way to learn about failure. You do it publicly. Yes, but that didn't stop me for some reason. And I moved to America, and I moved to LA, and I launched the first talk show on Snapchat. And it was called Pillow Talk with Poppie, and it involved me sitting in a bed interviewing celebrities. Hard job. This was actually a catalyst for why I'm speaking to you today, because I suddenly started to receive hundreds and hundreds of messages. And this show was watched by millions around the world, and I found it phenomenal when I started opening as many as I possibly could, that everybody was saying the same thing. It didn't matter which country they were in, didn't matter their age, and it didn't matter their gender. Everybody started to be talking this internal dialogue, and the messages delete on Snapchat, so there was this level of honesty I wasn't seeing anywhere else. And people were stressed. They were worried about school, families, relationships, home, deadlines. And I suddenly thought, me too. Behind this exterior of social media that we're all in, and we all want to project our perfect life, we were all feeling the same thing, and I was there with this like mini psychological experiment with a TV show and hundreds of millions of people watching it, messaging. So I thought, I need to look into this further, because this was really affecting my own life as well. And look, we can't always believe everything we read, but when you see that anxiety is an 8-year high, when the American Psychological Association reports millennials to be the most stressed out generation that's ever lived, it did get me thinking. Why are we feeling so stressed? Well, I think we touched on it earlier this morning, but we've become totally technologically obsessed. I heard a recent quote that stuck with me. The human ability to create is so much faster than the human ability to adapt. And we have created a world we have not yet adapted to. Have we adapted to the fact that we are expected to be on call 24/7, to have 300 emails we're expected to reply to have hundreds of relationships that we're expected to keep up with? I'm not sure. We've become addicted to likes, and as we all know, it doesn't matter what numbers you're on. If you're having 2 likes or 500 to 5,000 likes, they make a difference. They can turn your day from a good one to a bad one. And in the studies that I did and the focus groups I carried out, people will start deleting photographs if they don't get enough validation on them. So comparison is the thief of all joy. We all know that. You've had a lovely holiday, and then suddenly you're on social media, and your best friend has had a better one. And you're like, shit. And, were we created or made to be on this comparison, comparogram overload? There is no kind of talk of, oh, I posted this and I had 5 million filters and actually I cried afterwards. We believe what we see. And then FOMO was created, which I'm sure you all know about, the fear of missing out. Now, before, if you weren't invited to something, it would be a little bit of an ouch, but now it's like the punch that keeps on punching, because you get to see an event happen in real time and get reminded every minute that you're not there and your friends are having the best time without you. That feels great. So I just thought, I've just had enough. Like, what's next? Like, are we going to carry on this way? Because I can't. My mental health couldn't handle it. Neither could my friends, and neither could the audience that I was speaking to every single day. So I asked myself 3 questions. I'm just going to scroll to my 3 questions. If technology has created problems, how can technology solve problems? This is not the evil. It's how we use them is the evil. What would life look like if we focused on being happy and not perfect? Because we often associate happiness with perfection. I'll be happy when I get that job. I'll be happy when I get those grades. I'll be happy when I lose this much weight. And then suddenly, like the gold at the end of the rainbow, we find it, we try and get there, and we never find it. And question 3, what is happy and happiness? Because I'm finding it really confusing. Because happy means something different to everybody else. So is happy what our parents want us to do? Or is happy what our friends want us to do? And I found this amazing quote that, again, has stuck with me. Happiness is not the absence of problems, but it's the ability to deal with them. And happy is not creating a world that has no problems, but it's giving us tools to cope. So my answers. I needed to create a technological tool that focuses on building inner fulfillment rather than external validation and helps us overcome moments of doubt, insecurity, and anxiety. Oh, there we are. So I started with the science behind happiness, and I'd read that these were the most oversubscribed courses at universities up and down the country. And I also, like in most situations or crises, I go and talk to my mum. And she happens to be a psychotherapist. That is very useful in moments like this, and also in moments of crises. And she has a practice and speaks to all ages. And she said, Poppie, I have, we mentioned it this morning, 12-year-olds asking me if a terrorist attack is going to happen at their school. Something needs to be done about it. And look, most children don't have parents like you. You guys are in this room learning the most amazing, already know this information, and yet it seems so inaccessible to so many others. And one of the most amazing things that I learned in my research was neuroplasticity. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, how has it taken me to 25 to understand that my brain is like plastic and I could change it? I'm like, I'm not stuck with the brain I'm born with. Like, this was so empowering. Like, I don't have to be stressed or I don't have to be anxious. I'm not stuck with these emotions. And then I read this book, The Upward Spiral, Using Neuroscience to Reverse the Course of Depression, One Small Change at a Time. And it's written by an amazing neuroscientist here at UCLA, Alex Korb. And this book put everything in perspective for me. So I went online and I stalked him. Luckily, he kindly agreed to meet my many Twitter messages, and he really has been a major, major inspiration in me building Happy Not Perfect. So I thought the mental health revolution has to happen. It wasn't so long ago where we all signed up to gyms and understood that looking after our body was normal. So why not the same for our mind? So my mission, make mental well-being accessible. Make it practical and make it fun. Because when I'm having a moment of like, I forget to look at page 79 of the book I just read. I'm just going, So how do we make sure that all this incredible information, 40 years of positive neuroscience, hundreds and centuries of mindful practices that the Stoics invented, how do we bring them to our everyday life? Because I think we can all agree, we all know what's good for us, but it's very difficult to do what's good for us. So the timeline. I started, the idea was planted in January 2015. This is what I mean, I've been pregnant for a long time. And I had to basically rebuild the app 3 times, which has been a real experience, because I didn't really have that much like techie bones in my body. And in May 2018, we are finally ready to launch. So a little bit about the app. I wanted to make it quick, and I wanted to make it fun. And just like Goldie, she is so inspirational, talking about the brain break, how can we all have a brain break when we need it, or 3 times, or even once a day? And so we call this little workout the mind refresh. So I just love the idea that when you go to a gym and let's say you have a trainer, they take you around the gym and they give you a little bit of arms, a little bit of abs, and I hate those ones, and a little bit of, legs, and then you're done. You've had this full body workout. And I'm like, well, why don't I create the same thing? A full mind workout that activates all the different parts of your brain. Wouldn't that be great? So I condensed it into 7 steps that you can do every single day. Step 1. Choose how you feel. And as you know, when you just become aware of your emotions, you help reduce their impact. And so depending on what emotion you choose, you go through an entire different experience in the app. So it's totally dependent on how you feel. Step 2, breathe. Now, it is amazing how easy it is to breathe wrong. So I went to go track down one of the world's leading breathing instructors, Dr. Belissa Vranich in New York, and I trained with her for about 6 months. And I couldn't believe when I found out that 9 out of 10 people breathe badly. And reason being, it's because when you tell someone to take a breath, and we can all do it now, but I'm sure you're all really good breathers because you're into this stuff, but we can do it now. So if we give ourselves an inhale and exhale. So if anyone found themselves moving up on the inhale and moving down on the exhale, you're a bad breather because you're using your chest. And actually, we need to all learn the belly breath. And children till the age of about 6 all belly breathe. You look at a baby breathing, they're breathing into their belly. But at the age of 5, we go to school, we start hunching over desks, we have a gut-sucking culture, and all our breath goes up here, and this is hiking up our cortisol levels. So we're trying to teach the entire world how to breathe into your belly. So now we give an inhale, and you expand your belly. And exhale, bring your belly to spine. Now, belly breathing stimulates your vagus nerve and then helps you move out from the fight or flight state into the rest and relax system. So the quickest and easiest way to biohack our nervous system to help us feel calmer. Step 3, process. This is the venting journal, which is kind of a bit of a favorite of mine in the app. And it is where you're able to write down any worries, a bit like the activity we did earlier when we threw our worries away. You're able to write down your worries, which is you're activating your prefrontal cortex, helping yourself rationalize your thoughts further. And then you're able to burn them away. I like to say, let that shit go. And you can do that, and the app explodes for you. And I also was very fascinated by fire ceremonies, and I thought this was a little bit better for health and safety, so no burnt down houses. Step 4, redirect. As we all know, we can't often change what happens to us, but we can always change our reactions. And as we all know, I'm sure, writing a grateful diary can be instrumental in helping us choose a more positive perspective and a life of gratitude and appreciation. So every single day, you're asked different questions to help you think about what you do have rather than what you don't. And this, to me, is kind of like the opposite of Instagram. Rather than double tapping everyone else's photographs, we start double tapping our own. Step 5, play, play, play. This is 30 seconds of a total distract, because when you're feeling super stressed or anxious, all I need to do is think about something totally different to disrupt my thoughts and bring me back to thinking in a different way. So you get given a different game. They could be coloring in. This is a little maze. It changes every single day. Step 6, compassion. Kristen Neff, I'm sure you've read. She's amazing work in this field. But this idea of how do we be our own best friends? It's really, really difficult. We talk to ourselves so negatively. If we do something wrong, it's, God damn it, why did you do that? And actually, how do we just spend a moment in the entire day where we say, actually, what's a quality I appreciate about myself? What we focus on gets louder. And step 7, how can you make someone else's day better? In a world that allows us to be so narcissistic, and we're posting selfies, well, my generation, posting selfies the entire time, how do we just shift that perspective onto somebody else? Because when you're thinking about other people, we don't have time to be worrying up our own insecurities or worries or problems. You're trying to make someone else feel good. So I thought right now, maybe we could all get out our phones and write to somebody a positive message just to say, I'm thinking about you, good luck, I appreciate you, I love you, thank you for doing that. You are so special to me. You get the feeling. So hopefully we can all just send a message of appreciation to somebody else. And in the app, you're able to send these messages anonymously, which is really exciting. So suddenly we're going to have millions of positive messages, which we write, so it's totally bullying safe. Compliments firing across the world, and you may not even know who they're from. So they're just anonymous love notes. So that's it. 7 simple steps for a full brain workout. No one said happy was easy, but it can be fun. And I was just really fascinated by the idea that, and it was mentioned this morning, but you learn how in the morning to brush your teeth, wash your face, but why don't we now look after our mind at the same time? And you can now refresh it. So thank you very much for listening to me talk about Happy Not Perfect. And I hope we can all look after our minds in a new way every single day. And before I leave you, I want to read out a quote. The world as we have created is a process of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. Albert Einstein. And I just think today is just such an example of this. We're all here learning so much and changing our thinking, and as a consequence, our reality is going to change. And this, on a global scale, the impact is immeasurable. So thank you so much.